guys! Today, in honor of the ongoing Sephora sale, I wanted to go back and look at my order from last year because I remembered I actually placed a pretty big Sephora order during the fall savings event last year. I actually shopped more at Sephora in 2024 than any prior year. I actually reached VIB status for the first time, which I had mixed feelings about because in some ways I felt accomplished. Because I was like, wow, like I've never gotten that status before. I've always been an insider. But then I felt weird about feeling accomplished for spending more money than I had in past years because that's not something I would usually feel accomplished about. I definitely won't be reaching VIB status in 2025. I've actually only placed one order from Sephora this year in April during their April sale, and I just got a couple of basic replacements, like my lash serum, a moisturizer, things that I was almost out of, needed to replace, and haven't bought anything since then from Sephora. I've bought very little makeup this year actually at all, not necessarily intentionally. I mean, yes, intentionally, but I haven't been consciously trying to do a no buy or a low buy this year. Buying makeup just has not been on my radar this year. I haven't been thinking about it, and as a result I've bought very little because really my focus this year has been on just using what I have, and honestly looking at the products I bought in last year's November Sephora sale, most of these things still feel pretty new to me even though I've had them for a whole year now. So I feel like it's a good sign that for most of these things the novelty has still not worn off, and I'm still just really enjoying all of them. So today I want to go through my order from last November's Sephora sale, talk about each product I bought and whether or not I'm happy with that purchase now, 1 year later. And even though I bought a lot of makeup, I ended up keeping all of it through my giant pre-move declutter, which means I ended up really liking most of these things because I was very cutthroat in that declutter. But also I think the fact that I bought these with my money and they were not cheap is a motivating factor to keep them in a declutter. I do feel like with higher end products, I tend to just really cherish those items and, want to keep them and use them up. So that is really how I feel about all of these things. But let's talk about what I bought. Now that they've been in my collection for a full year, the Fenty Beauty Eavesdrop Blurring Skin Tint became one of my favorite complexion products. I love this. It's so unique to me. I really haven't tried anything like this. I love how smooth and perfecting it is to my skin without having that much coverage. It has light coverage. It really is a skin tint, but it makes my skin look so beautiful. I love it. So really happy I bought this last year. I don't regret this purchase either, but I am unable to use it at the moment. So this is the Tower 28 Get Set Pressed Powder in the shades Palisades Pink. I'm going to keep it closed because it is just broken and loose in there. This powder started to crack and crumble, so I tried to repress it with rubbing alcohol and it totally messed up the formula of this powder. It is totally dry. It shrunk and cracked after I pressed it down. Now it's just in these two big pieces and they're not attached to the bottom of the pan, so I am waiting until I have an empty loose powder container to decant this into, and then I'll crush it up and use it as a loose powder because I really do like this powder. Also, repressing it brought out some red pigment in there, and so the color of it looks all weird. It's not quite this pink normally. It's a very, very light translucent pink, and I love it for the under eyes. I love that even though it's a pressed powder, it does not make my under eyes look dry or crepey at all. So I can't wait until I can use this again. I think I will like it once it's in loose powder form, but PSA also, if you have this powder, I don't recommend repressing it with alcohol. And I've also heard from a lot of you that this powder is just very prone to cracking and breaking, so if you do buy this, just be careful with it. But it is a beautiful, beautiful powder. Very velvety, smooth, and just so luxurious. I bought 2 brow gels in the sale because I think it was around this time last year I was starting to buy brow gels to include in my brow glue showdown, which finally went live just earlier this week. I'm so happy to be done with that video. But these are 2 of the ones that I talked about in the showdown: the Rare Beauty Flexible Hold Lifting Gel and the Patrick Ta Major Brow Lamination Gel. I ended up really loving both of these. Both of these were in the strong hold category of that video, which is my personal favorite. I do find that both of these are nice and laminating. They really do hold my brows up and lifted all day. I'm not really bothered by stiffness in my brows, but these are also both somewhat flexible. They're not going to make your brows feel totally frozen. The Rare Beauty one I would say feels even more natural and lightweight in the brows. a little bit more flexible. Sometimes I will have a hair or two just fall or like just kind of move out of line throughout the day, but it's not the biggest deal because for the most part my brows look really in place. And the Patrick Ta, I did buy the mini of this, which I would recommend if you haven't tried this before, just to see if you like it. It's not that much more expensive per ounce than the full size. Also, the full size appears to be out of stock currently, both on the Patrick Ta website and on Sephora. I couldn't find the full size anyway. I'm trying to use up the Rare Beauty one right now. Now that my brow gel showdown is finished, it's complete, I am now just trying to focus on like one at a time to use up. I did declutter a handful of the brow gels that just didn't really suit me, but of the ones that I really liked, I'm just kind of working my way through them. So the Rare Beauty one is the first one I want to finish, and then I think next will be Patrick Ta. I definitely don't regret either of these purchases. I really love them both. I feel like my brows just look so good when I use either of these. I also bought in this order, this was just a good order, I got some good stuff. The Makeup by Mario Soft Sculpt Transforming Skin Enhancer in Light. This is a cream bronzer. I don't know why it has such a long, convoluted name when it's just a cream bronzer. This is pricey. I paid $32 for it with the discount. And as you can see, I mean, I've gotten a fair amount of use out of this. There's a very small dip happening. Really love this bronzer. It's so easy to work with. Impossible to mess up. It's just like the perfect level of pigmentation so that you don't end up with just like way too much bronzer on your face. It's really just impossible to mess up. I love it. Another thing I do not regret buying from this purchase. Also, zero regrets on the Patrick Ta blush duo in Not Too Much. I remember at first when I tried this, I wasn't sure. I don't know why I was struggling with it, but glad I got over that. I will say I often will just use one or the other, like either the cream or the powder, but I'm not always using them both together. I like the powder shade, but I love the cream shade. It is just like the most stunning. I heard Sandra refer to this type of blush shade as just like a nothing shade, and that's exactly what it is to me. It'll go with anything. It just kind of looks like my cheeks but better. It's just a nude, rosy blush shade. That shade is just so pretty. And then the powder is beautiful as well. It's just more peachy than the cream side. So if I want to add more warmth, I will add some of this on top. I usually do apply it cream first and then powder. I know the Patrick Ta method is to do powder first and then cream on top, and I have done that before. I just haven't loved the way that looks. I don't know, I just prefer a powder on top, and I do feel like the cream shade of this makes more sense to me, at least as like a base shade, and then I would add some of the peach powder blush on top to just warm it up a little bit, but I probably wouldn't do the reverse of that. Anyway, so happy I bought this too. It really is one of those products that I just cherish, and it just feels so luxe and fancy to use. I also got, and it looks like this little duo set is no longer sold, but this is the Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk Beauty Light Wand Blush and Highlighter set. So it's both the highlight and the matte blush in the shade Pillow Talk. I had wanted to try both of these products, especially the Beauty Light Wand, for years, just because I know so many people love these. So when I saw that the duo was being sold, I was like, well, I'd be happy to try the blush wand as well. So let's just try them both since it's a good deal for the two. And I will say, of all the things, I wouldn't say that these are some of my top favorites from this order. The Pillow Talk Highlight Wand, I do wish I could get a different shade because this shade is a little bit too dark for me on the high points of my cheeks. Like it's a little shadowy looking there. I normally will just kind of either apply it before blush, and so it'll all sort of blend together. I can make it work, but I do just find the shade a little bit deep. So if you are around my skin tone or lighter, I probably wouldn't recommend this shade. I feel like I haven't used the matte blush wand in a while. I've used it, according to my spreadsheet, 5 times this year, and I've used the highlight 10 times. So definitely haven't been getting a ton of use out of either of these things. Let's make a mental note to put this in my next everyday makeup drawer because I do feel like it's been way too long since I used this blush, but it is a really pretty nude rosy color, which is my kind of shade. So yeah, I'm looking forward to pulling this back out and using it. I wonder if this would look good on the lips, like almost as a blurred matte lip color. I might have to try that. Another blush I bought, I definitely don't regret this one either. It's the Hourglass Unreal Liquid Blush in the shade Vision. I love this type of blush color. It's this like really soft, muted red shade. The only thing I'll say, I don't love the packaging. If you have long nails, it's really hard to get the product out because you get it out by just pressing the bottom of the bottle and it drops, Even without long nails right now, it's hard to do. Yeah, you have to press pretty hard. So I just think the packaging of this could use an update, but looking past that, the formula is stunning. It really does feel like a serum. Really nice and like hydrating. And just look at that color. Oh, it's so gorgeous. Has anyone out there panned this blush? Because I would really like to know how hard it is to use like once you start running out. I also bought 2 eyeliners, both of which I use all the time. The Fenty Fly Liner in the shade In Big Truffle is the perfect chocolate brown liquid liner. I use this all the time when I want just a nice sharp liquid liner wing, and it shows up really brown. I love it. Yeah, still going strong after a year. I know you're probably supposed to, yeah, 6 months it says is the period after opening. I definitely am not as strict about replacing my eyeliners as I am my mascaras. My mascaras I replace every 6 months like clockwork, but with eyeliners like felt tip liners, I don't know. How strict are you guys with that? Because I feel like my eyeliners are never finished within 6 months. Like I don't use them often enough to go through them that quickly. Even if you did use it every day for 6 months, I honestly feel like it would still have product left. So let me know your thoughts on that. But I'm still enjoying this. I've used it a lot. This is actually my most used eyeliner of the year so far. I've used it 29 times. 29 times is just not enough times to finish an eyeliner. And then this was also the order where I bought the Tower 28 one liner in Draw Me, which is a multi-liner, they call it. You can use it on the eyes, lips, face, wherever. It comes in a lot of different shades. Some of them are lighter, some of them are deeper, like this one. This is another nice dark chocolate brown shade, a little bit darker than the Fenty Fly Liner in Big Truffle. This is what I use when I want a slightly smokier or smudgier brown liner. Love it. I've also used it on my lips before. I did that in my last everyday makeup drawer video for a very vampy dark brown lip. That was super fun, but very happy with both of those eyeliner purchases as well. Brown eyeliner is definitely my most used liner color. One thing from this order I no longer have because I already finished it was the Cali Ray Come Hell or High Water Mini Mascara. This was one thing from this list I feel like I could have lived without. I didn't end up loving this mascara because it was a flaker on me, and it made me realize that just because a mascara is tubing doesn't mean it won't flake or transfer. I didn't have any smudging with it, but definitely just like, it was just a flaky one. It wasn't terrible, like I was still able to use it, but the fact that it flaked at all is just a huge deal breaker for me, especially when there are drugstore tubing mascaras that don't do that. e.l.f. Lash Extender, and the one I have on right now is the Makeup Revolution Wrap Lash. Really like that one actually, but only for the top lashes. If you apply it to both the top and bottom, your lashes will stick together, which is kind of annoying, but it doesn't flake, doesn't smudge, and it looks amazing on the lashes. So I will say it's rare to see a tubing mascara with this type of brush. Usually tubing mascaras have molded brushes, but this one had a like nylon bristle brush, so I don't know if that was maybe part of why it was flaky. Also bought 2 sets of Glametic nails in this order. They were the shades Polar Night and Ruby Slipper. I've already used Ruby Slipper. Those I used around Christmas last year. Beautiful nails. If you can get those, they're that kind of 3D metallic, that cat eye sort of finish where it shifts in the light. So pretty. Loved those. I will say Glametic nails I will only buy on sale because they say that they're reusable. I have never successfully reused a set of nails. The main reason for that is because to remove my press-on nails, I use the Glametic press-on nail remover, and it does a great job at removing the nails. It kind of dissolves the glue, but unfortunately it also sort of dissolves a little bit of the nail itself. So they get this kind of like sticky feeling to them that you can't wash off, and they're just not really usable again. Their nails are really strong and like a hard plastic, so they don't break easily, but I have had some where they get just like little cracks that you can see up close, especially like on the tips of the nails. And sometimes even on like near the cuticle of the nails, they'll get like tiny little micro cracks. And if that happens, I'm not going to want to reuse those nails. Last year for Black Friday, they had a pretty good sale going on their website, so I bought a bunch of nails and just like stocked up for the whole year. I think they were having like 30% off, maybe 35%, but I got each set of nails for like $7 to $9. So yeah, I recommend waiting for a good sale on their website and just stocking up like once a year if you're really big into press-on nails. But to this day, Glametic nails are some of the best I've tried. I don't use the glue that comes with them. That glue does not work well for me. I actually use a brush-on glue from AOA, and it works really well, but I know Glametic also has a brush-on glue. I also bought the Polar Night set. I actually still have those. I haven't used them yet, but they look perfect for winter, so I think I'm going to save them for like maybe around New Year's Eve. Those will be perfect for that. And one last thing I bought was the Touchland hand sanitizer in the Vanilla Blossom scent. This is such an expensive hand sanitizer, it's like $10. And I know there are a lot of dupes out there for this now. You can find it like the dollar store, Walmart, etc. And they have the same flat spray bottle design. That being said, I have really enjoyed having this hand sanitizer in my purse. It feels like such a treat every time I use it. It smells really good. I remember at first I wasn't that into the scent of this, but the longer I've used it, the more I just love it. I love vanilla scents. I'm a real sucker for vanilla. And the shape of the bottle really is perfect. Like, it just slides right into your purse, doesn't take up much space, looks cute, and I understand the hype with these. I do. So I don't regret buying this, but it's definitely not a must-have either. So that's everything I ordered in last year's Sephora Savings Event sale. I spent almost $300 on all of these items. $281 to be exact. I don't think I'd ever spent that much money in a single Sephora order. I know it's not that much money by Sephora standards, like you could definitely blow way more at Sephora, but for me that was a pretty big order. So I'm happy to know that everything ended up being at least something that I ended up enjoying. But I don't think I'll be doing much more makeup shopping for the rest of this year, and I'm also very happy with that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this little chatty video. Let me know if you shopped or are shopping the current Sephora sale, or if you, like me, are just not really in the mood to buy makeup. But thank you so much for watching and hanging out with me today. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and share the video with a friend. And hopefully I will talk to you very soon in my next video. Bye!